Everyone, I'm Amy and I'm at home, and today I am making brown butter chocolate chunk cookies. It's a mouthful. The first thing I need to do is brown my butter, so come over here. Jimmy, come on over and I'm going to show you what I'm doing. This makes the recipe really interesting, and the reason why I love it so much, there are two reasons. I love the flavor of butter that's a little bit brown, not a whole lot. It makes it really nutty, and it also makes the recipe really easy to make. I don't have to pull out a mixer if my butter's already melted. So what I'm doing now is melting 1 stick plus 2 tablespoons of butter. And I'm really just sort of melting it and letting it get a tiny, tiny bit brown, and there are two reasons for that. One, when butter is bubbling like this, that means the water is evaporating out of it. I don't want to lose too much of that water or it'll throw off the balance of the cookies, but I also don't want to burn my butter either. So I'm just sort of getting it to like the very early stages of browning butter. And while this is happening, my temperature's on like medium low. I'm going to turn this way down. I'm going to turn this to low and really keep an eye on it. But while I'm doing that, I'm going to chop my chocolate. And the reason why these are chocolate chunk cookies versus chocolate chip is because I prefer to use chocolate bars. And these are chocolate bars they're in the candy aisle, literally anywhere you buy candy, but they're really good quality. I think this is Ghirardelli, and to be quite honest with you, I usually just buy whatever's on sale because it's all good. And I like dark chocolate, but you can use any kind of chocolate you want. You could use milk chocolate, white chocolate, as long as it's got a little sugar in it. You don't want to use unsweetened. And this is a 4-ounce bar. I kind of decide at the last minute how much chocolate I want to put into my cookies. I sort of eyeball it, anywhere from 4 to 6 ounces. So I'm going to just chop that up and put it aside and check back on my butter.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
How much butter are you supposed to put in for how long?
Well, right now I am using I've melted 1 stick plus 2 tablespoons of butter, and that is the amount that is perfect for this recipe. The thing that you have to really be careful about when working with melted butter, and especially brown butter, is it loses some of its water content, or it evaporates as it turns brown. So you really don't want to have that happen, or it throws off the recipe. So I'm just going to turn this off, and I have very light brown butter, and I am going to add it to my bowl. And this is what I love about this recipe. So I have a whisk, and I am going to add my sugars to the butter, and I don't need a mixer. So here is my white sugar, and this is kind of a classic chocolate chip cookie recipe, except it is with brown butter and chocolate chunks. So here's a little tip. When using brown sugar has a lot of moisture in it, which is great, but if you don't cover it up, if you measure it out and you don't cover it up, it'll dry out. So always put a cover on your brown sugar if you're not using it right away. So it's 6 tablespoons of brown sugar and 6 tablespoons of white sugar to 1 stick plus 2 tablespoons of butter, melted and lightly browned. To this, I'm going to add a pinch of sugar, and I am also adding some extract. And here's something else that I love that's a little bit different than a traditional chocolate chunk cookie. I love almond extract because I think the flavor of the almond extract goes really nicely with the brown butter flavor. It's a little different from vanilla extract, and if you don't have almond extract or you don't think you're gonna like it, then definitely use vanilla, but I'm gonna use almond, and I have 1 teaspoon, and I put that in. So now I'm gonna put in my dry ingredients. That's all this is right here. That's the wet ingredients. Oh, and by the way, this is a really funny story. I don't have any eggs in this recipe, and the reason why is because I made this and I forgot to put the eggs in. It was 1 egg and I completely forgot. and they turned out amazing. The cookies were so delicious. I sort of made these my go-to. So I'm gonna measure out flour and I'm gonna show you how to do it. This is a 1/2 cup measurer and I'm spooning my flour in because I want it a little aerated. I don't want to pack down my flour. So it's called the spoon and the swoop. And I take a knife and just go straight across. And that is how you measure out flour. I'm gonna do this twice because I need a cup of flour. It's really worth the effort of doing this. Okay, so I have my flour, and then I have a little baking soda. And I'm just gonna stir this up. I just wanna show you, Jimmy. You really just wanna stir this. I'm actually gonna switch because I don't need my whisk anymore. You can see it gets a little sticky around the whisk and I don't really want that. So I'm gonna switch to a silicone spatula and I'm just gonna stir around and around until everything is combined. And this is exactly what I'm looking for. This doesn't really look like traditional dough. It is extra wet and it's gonna make for thin and crispy cookies, especially because there's no egg. I'm also adding a little milk because I want to continue to put a little bit of liquid to keep the batter nice and loose as it bakes, especially because there's no egg in here. So I'm really happy with this. All right, now I'm gonna add my chocolate. And this is a really interesting tip too, because this is a little warm from the butter, which I want. The chocolate is gonna melt a little bit, but not a lot. So the chunks will stay, but they'll get a little melted too. And this is where you don't really wanna manhandle your dough. You wanna just keep it kind of nice and like easy on the chocolate so it doesn't turn into chocolate cookies. We still want to keep the integrity of the dough and have chocolate chunks as well. So that's what that looks like. I'm gonna grab, you can see I already made a batch. I'm gonna grab my baking sheet, and this is a silpat. This is something that I love so much. It keeps everything from not sticking, and I always line my baking sheets with it. You can see this one's a little dirty from baking cookies earlier, and my baking sheet is old and grungy, and it's just the way I like it. So I use an ice cream scoop, and this is the size that I like, but you can really use any size that you want. I like my cookies kind of big. And these spread out as they bake, so I am only gonna put 6 on here. But the nice thing about using a scooper like this is they all are the same size, and it's super easy to do. So there are my cookies. I'm gonna bake these in a 350-degree oven for about 8 to 10 minutes. And then when they come out, I'm gonna sprinkle a little salt on them. And I love flaky salt. Malden is a great brand. So I just made these, and these are incredible. I mean, thin and crispy and really gooey from the chocolate, big pockets of chocolate. Jimmy, you want to try one? Yeah. So let's give it a try. Cheers. Happy Friday. Oh my God. Amazing. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope I'll see you soon. Have a great weekend. Bye.